Hello and welcome. Well, Ghana produces 6% more power, but Dumsor lingers on. Is ever going to be a time where the average Ghanaian would not consider energy in terms of lights or water or any amenity in the house as a problem? But here we are. But I must commend the Ministry of Power for at least putting out the information so that we don't, leave people to speculate, which then leads to a defensive communication, which leads to nowhere. So first of all, I want to say thank you. But what I'm asking is, are they consulting? Because indeed, there are a lot of experts in this field in Ghana. Are they being consulted, or we are just being fed the same old story? Because to be honest with you, there wasn't much new in the statement, even though I'm happy that the statement was released. But who's being consulted? What are the strategies being put in place to make sure that this average growth, 10 to 12%, will be met? And are we just thinking of this year, or are we projecting 50, 100 years from today? Is it just going to be playing catch-up, or there will be a time where Ghana will sit comfortably with enough energy for you and I to produce and live comfortably? That's what we're going to talk about. Two energy experts in the house. My name is Nana Ansakwa. This is PM Express. When I come back, I will introduce my guest. Don't know. Well, thank you very much for staying. And this evening, directly sat next to me is Kojo Poku, who is an energy expert. Kojo, you're welcome.
Hi, good evening. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. And you're looking very prosperous.
Let's hope it continues throughout the year.
Kwame's shirt, I had a spare shirt in the car and I just took it. Otherwise, I would have swapped Kwame's shirt this evening because I like that shirt.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. Who made the shirt? Give him some credit.
Oh, I think
you just bought it.
Let me tell you the secret of wearing old shirts. You starch it so it always looks new.
That's a good shirt. That's Kwame Jantua, who's an energy expert. He's a lawyer and also CPP by blood. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Now, we are here to talk energy, but since you're Ghanaian, I just want to pick your brains. Kojo, let me start with you with regards to Benative and his twin brother. I mean, what are your views? Are you in the school of thought that says, look, better leave it, or are you in the compassionate school of the look, me, I'm a Christian, let them come?
Well, I'm not in any of those thoughts. I'm in the thought that if you enjoy George Walker W. Bush N1, okay? If you enjoy the second compact of $500 million being pumped into ECG to make it a better place, if you enjoy all the things America do for you, then when America calls on you to take 2 of their headaches, you don't say no. That's the thought I'm off.
They're giving you enough paracetamol.
Well, exactly. So basically, it's not about compassionate. You see, people can say all sorts of things to justify why they do things. But the bottom line is simple. We are at the beck and call of these guys, okay? There are some countries like Nigeria, Gambia. They can't call, can you imagine Obama calling Gambia, our guy in Gambia, and asking him to take 2 Guantanamo Bay inmates? You know what he would tell him? It's not, he can't do it. Ghana, yes, they will praise you, oh, you've come of age, the security in the country is best, so you can, to me, all those things is neither here nor there.
You think Zimbabwe would take 2?
Well, call Mugabe and you see what he'll tell you. So it is that. It is a give and take, okay? We're enjoying the George Walker Bush Highway, we're enjoying the compact, and all these things comes with the saying that one that much is given, much is expected. So if we take, we should be expected to be called upon one of these days to do a gesture like what we are doing. And to me, from what the president said yesterday, they live in a compound with security, national security agencies. Wherever they go, they will be followed. And if that's the case, then let's sit and wait. Conforsi Krobaba or Timbi.
Kwame, where's your school of thoughts?
See, taking it from where my brother left off, it goes to show that our economy is the most important thing we should safeguard. if we have a strong economy
Yes.
and we're standing on our own, nobody can come and tell anything, say anything to
Not
us.
possible.
It's quite a shame, and it's quite a reflection on how we have left things to linger for so long that we've had to go to these Bretton Woods institutions and American Co.
Economic independence.
Yes, to do their bidding. And Nkrumah said it.
He was crying.
Yes.
That, oh my God,
Yes, yes,
they've just truncated
Exactly.
what I was looking for, the
Yes,
economic independence.
Yes. Now, I continuously say America has permanent interest and no permanent friends. Yes, they give you the money to do the George Walker Bush and do all those things. One day, they will call you to book on it. And so perhaps our president was put between a rock and a hard place. And really and truly, he couldn't say no. Because for me, yesterday, his press conference, answering the questions about these two detainees, he was fumbling. Because if the economy was strong, this would have gone to Parliament. Why would I say it would have gone to Parliament? Because the representatives of the people are in Parliament. And they would have decided. If this came out to the public, definitely it would be a no-no. And I give a typical example. The moment I heard it, you know what I thought about? When they decided to do Ebola trials in Ghana. What happened? Kicked against it, kicked against it, kicked against it. It was stopped. Do you think if this was brought to the notice of the general public, it would have stayed? No. But the president was between a rock and a hard place. And really and truly couldn't do much. He needs to now convince his people that, look, we would keep as much an eye on them as possible. But the question I ask, if you say they are low risk, why are we monitoring them?
They could have joined YMCA.
Yeah, they could have joined anybody. They could have walked free. But you see, the president says that, you know, what we know we have got, we know what we've got, but think of what is coming. You know, it is what they will attract. What do bees attract? What do flies attract? If you have a saw in your hand, you attract flies. So it is those who they would attract them to come into this country, to even come and probably rescue them. That is where the problem is. But I hope we have a security service that is strong, that can monitor and make sure. And yeah, the president did say that we now have the advantage of, you know, learning what is going to happen. But when Boko Haram is going to strike, does America know? And Boko Haram is just next door to us. They can strike anywhere in the north. What are we going to do? When we had this flood on 3rd June, what happened? Mayhem and chaos. So let's just pray. Just let our prayers be strong that nothing like that would happen.
It's sad because I think that for what we have, in the situation that we have found ourselves in, if the reverse was the case, imagine if Ghana was to send some untoward people to the US, and the first thing Obama would do is to inform Congress. Congress will have to debate it. We've heard of the Syria situation when America is to take in Syria refugees. Congress is debating it, and Congress will have to decide where the people will stay, and all those things is open and clear. And the area where they will stay, they can call their Congress rep, the senators, and tell them that, look, please do not support this bill. And if it's not supported, it doesn't happen. So I'm surprised that we only, Ghanaians got to know of this story on the day when they arrived, was when the lid was blown open. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs held a press conference on the day the people came into the country. So to me, you know, I can understand the justification or not for it, but let us be part of the process. If we are against it, then if you tell Obama, Mr. President, yes, I'm more than happy to do it, but let me consult my people. And if you consult the people and the people said, no, sorry, don't take it, Mr. President, sorry, I can't. And he understands it because Obama preaches the structures of strong institutions of democracy. So if the people said no, Obama would have not said, what would he say? Well, you might not get another George Walker Bush highway, but what can he say?
Would this be an indirect way of getting the Americans in militarily? Why do I say that? If it so happens, and it's an outside chance, so happens that either of the terrorist groups strikes Ghana, who would come to our aid? To be the Americans. What will they do? They will say, now that the terrorists have gotten into West Africa, we need to establish a base here. That's it. Occupation comes in. So we have to be very careful how this thing is handled. And I hope this would be the first and last I hope it won't happen again. But it tells us that within West Africa, we should strengthen our security. We should strengthen our armies. We should strengthen our surveillance. We should strengthen our intelligence. Because it hits one country. Ebola hit Liberia. What happened?
Spread like wildfire.
Spread like wildfire.
Oh, yeah. That's all I can say. So tomorrow, my topic is mental slavery, mental poverty, who will cure us? So tomorrow you don't want to miss, that's my opinion. Mental slavery, mental poverty, who will cure us? But today we're going to talk about energy. And we have a couple of inserts to start the conversation. So don't move. Let's watch these inserts and then we'll look at energy.
Close to a month now, we have not called for any load to be shed in the country. Normally, GRIDCO would have to make a study, look at the supply situation and the demand situation, and inform the load management committee. Then ECG will be called upon to execute the load that will be shed. But I'm happy to say here again that close to a month now, the document GRIDCO sends to the load management committee indicates load shedding 0 for ECG, 0 for NETCO, and 0 for industry. That means that we are not shedding load at all. As indicated earlier on, there are various challenges also in our distribution network. So once in a while, you may have your area going up, but that doesn't mean we don't have enough supply. In fact, presently, we have close to about 6% more than we need. One would ask, what allowed us to get off this problem of load shedding? We had a 110 megawatt TICO expansion project at Aboase commissioned and supplying power to the system. And for the many people who have been very interested in the badge, the car power project, we are well aware that it is delivering 225 megawatt into the system. In addition, there is yet another addition to the system, the Trojan project that is providing 25 megawatt of power at Tema. That is run on diesel. Now, if you add all this, then you would realize that we've added quite a big chunk of power to what we already have. There are other projects that are ongoing and expected to be completed within the year. In fact, very, very soon, all these projects will be on stream. We have the 220 megawatt Pontema power project. They have tested, actually injected some power into the grid system, and they are still going on with the commissioning process. We have a 360 megawatt project being undertaken by the Sunon Asogli power plant, and that is also very close to commissioning. We have the 38 megawatt VRA TT2PP expansion project that is also close to commissioning. The Ameri project. The Ameri project is about ready. Indeed, tomorrow we should be injecting the first phase of 100 megawatt by tomorrow into the system from the Ameri project. There is a solar system that has also been put in place. It's about 20 megawatts and will be on stream very soon. All these plants will be feeding into the national grid very, very soon. The projected peak demand for 2016 is 2,477. It will be interesting to note that if you take this peak demand, 2,477, you take all the countries to the west of Ghana in West Africa, if you total their demands, it's equivalent to our figure. That shows how far we've gone as a country with regards to our power supply, where we have about 80% of our citizenry having access to electricity. At this peak demand, if all new generation projects are completed as scheduled, And barring any unexpected plant breakdowns, we should have enough generation capacity to meet the projected demand. We should take note that demand in Ghana grows between 10 and 12% annually, and that is one of the biggest in the world, only comparable to that of Qatar. We have observed that the reserve margin is about 146 megawatts, which is only 5.9% of the projected peak demand. In effect, the system will be constrained if any unit has to undergo maintenance.
The load management team has not been disbanded. The advice from the load management team is that we cannot officially declare load shedding over as of yet, even though the current situation is that we are able to meet the demand. The load management team has indicated that you need a certain level of redundancy. And that is why Engineer Mona indicated that if by accident or by whatever means one plant goes down, especially the major ones, you would have a setback. And so they know the margins and the reserve percentages that we need to attain, and also observe the system for a period of time before we can finally and eventually declare load shedding over, and also possibly or probably disband the load management team. And that's why I said that the load management team shall continue to monitor the situation.
Okay, thank you very much for staying. And the power situation in the country at the moment, which is absolute good news, and I commend them for this, press conference and putting out the information rather than leaving us to speculate. But I'm going to go a little back and go to somewhere, I think 31st of December. The same ministry issued a letter saying that, look, that's the end of your woes. What was all that about?
Well, the first thing I have to say, listening to that press conference, and I would go with you on the fact that I have always been an advocacy of communication. Okay, what we've been asking for from the ministry is timely information to inform Ghanaians. You see, what stopped them from doing this from time to time? The whole of 2015, every 3 months, what stopped them from doing this? Now, I would strongly want to call on Parliament. I don't know which of the subcommittees that can call Honorable Donko, okay, and institute an inquiry. Okay, Ghanaians need to know what went into for that letter that he came with. Because you see, that letter was not on Honorable Donko's letterhead. It was on the letterhead of the Ministry of Power, signed by the head of public affairs, saying that the Dumsor is over, and Ghanaians did this, and his ministry then, and the agencies, blah, 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 blah. Deceiving Ghanaians with that letter. As per the press conference that we've had today, Honorable Donko should be called in front of one of the committees in Parliament because he's a member of the August House, okay? He's no longer a member of the executive, so I don't see how the president has anything. But as a member of Parliament, I strongly believe that we should, for Ghanaians, that's why the National Assembly, which is Parliament, represent us. They should hold him in front of one of the committees. I don't know which committee will do it, but one of the committees should call Honorable Donko to investigate the processes that led to him giving us that letter, because it's baffling. Whether to save his job, was it a personal agenda? Was it something because some of us have said that he should be sacked? He should come and explain to Ghanaians why that letter. It will serve two purposes. In the future, no minister will do that, okay? Because we are most of the times when certain things are done, okay, and it goes without unsaid. I personally think that the chief director has a question to answer. The gentleman who signed that letter has a question to answer. So I think the Parliament, to me, should hold the man in front of a privileged committee or some committee to let him answer why he did what he did or why that letter.
Do you think the guillotine will fall on Comrade Donko alone? Well, the guillotine will fall straight also into the executive.
Well, to me, look, the executive has asked him to go. So obviously, they have dissociated themselves from the decision the man took. If they have kept him in place, then you could say that the president agrees to. I personally said that I was going to give the president 100% for sacking the man that got 99%. Because remember when they interviewed him on your platform, he gave himself 99% and said that he had done the job well.
I find it difficult to believe that he took a unilateral decision like that. There must have been some support in terms of, what he said. He must have had some information for him to go out and say, he's not a stupid man. Comrade, of course,
the inquiry, but the inquiry was
support from what he knew what he was producing. He knew what he was generating.
Clearly from today, he was alone, because if you see the panel that assembled today, the committee on load shedding came and they give their presentation as we have, and they've clearly explained to us that though we have seen improvement, which we all agree there is improvement, it's still going to keep the committee in place because they cannot say it's over.
Why do you think they sacked him? Do you think it's because of what he said?
Well,
or there was more to it than that?
I know there's more to it, but that is why I'm saying that that is why Parliament, being an independent arm of government, should.
And for me, the crux of it is money. That's the crux of it. Well, I mean, you make a statement like that, not knowing where the funds are going to come from for you to finish Dumsor. And how do you expect the executive to sit and look at you? Because for me, it's based on money. Because the statement today, if you look at the statement today, the minister said that VRA has indicated they need 98 million per month to procure fuel for the thermal plants. Now, this translates annually to $1.18 billion, 4.484 billion cedis. VR's component is 550 million. Independent power producer is 46 million. Now, if you make such a statement and you don't know where this money is coming from, you think executive will stop and listen to you? Maybe he got some sureties from the Ministry of Finance that, look, we can do this thing. There will be money available. Only to find out, once he did that statement, there was no money available. So the guillotine will not only fall on Comrade Donko's head, it will fall on other people's heads. So he's gone. Let's look forward. For me, don't let us go back. What has happened in the past cannot be straightened. We can only use it to learn for the future. So let's see what's going to happen in the future. And let's see, with this information that the ministry is giving out in terms of giving out information as and when it's required, let's see how that will take us.
You see, the only one thing that, okay, no, the only one thing that I worry about this is that how are you going to produce with this? It's very expensive energy, this energy.
Yes.
So for us who have to turn on air conditioning, well, so be it, if you want to. But if you need to produce, plastic chairs, iron rods, I mean, what happens?
Let me tell you what happened over this weekend. Now whenever I go to functions, everybody will hail you. Oh, energy expert, come, energy, So I was at this wedding and a brother of mine called me and said, Kojo, let's have a conversation. I don't know how you can get this across, but I have fellow industries. He is into cocoa processing. Their electricity bill, between when they crank up all their machines, is running between 800,000 Ghana cedis to 1 million a month. 1 million Ghana cedis a month for electricity bill. So in 12 months, they are doing 12 million. How the hell is any company going to survive on that electricity bill? Wow. It's not possible. So the option they have is to looking at closing down the factory. And so I have to go into and try and research into bulk power, purchase, that if their electricity consumption is that high, maybe they can apply for bulk power. I think the government should really have AGI call its members, have a closed-door meeting between government and industry at that level, who are the sawmills, okay? Heavy industry, the steel plants in Tema. All these big industries that are dying over this high-end fuel bill. And the government should now sit with them and say, look, how can we help you survive? If not, my brother, now if you go home and you look at every day, the minute I enter the house, the first thing I go and look at is my meter, because it drains by the minute. And I'm sure everybody can say it's not a surprise. So, like you said, heavy industries will not survive under these tariffs.
The amount that I use in a month, I used in 10 days, and
yes,
it's a bit.
that is the situation.
I would have used in a month. I used it in 10 days.
I think really and truly, planning is of essence.
So yes, it's well and good that there's energy.
The lights are on.
The lights are on.
But look a step further.
But for industries, I'm very concerned.
You see, I believe that we should try as much as possible to take a lot of the load off domestic and create certain types of energy mixes for domestic alone. I'll give a typical example of what is happening in Kenya today. Kenya have decided to go the solar route, and they have put up solar grids in communities. So you take Dansuman, it has a solar grid. You take Airport, it has a solar grid. You take, West Legon, it has a solar grid. And that solar grid produces domestic electricity for them. So they've been able to use a lot of the electricity from the main sources like hydro and thermal and all that for industry. But it needs planning. It needs planning. It needs effective research. I don't know at the present moment who is doing the research, whether all this is just ad hoc, short term, let's get it done. We need at least a 15 to 20-year development plan for energy alone, power alone. Because without power, look at what happened with this. Okay, we can say that to some degree, the Dumsor has stabilized a bit. But will it stabilize in the next 90 days? Will it stabilize in the next 180 days? Will it stabilize in the next 6 months?
Or even at what cost?
At what cost?
Because for the fuel cost they are bagging around, not only is that going to have a very high load on industry, look at the amount of dollar that is needed to now sustain only this. So it means that there's going to be a lot of pressure on the city.
But the question I also ask is that, yes, they say Etuabo is going for routine maintenance. How many routine maintenance have we had since Etuabo was built? How many? It goes to tell you something. For me, really and truly, the people who were chosen to build Etuabo were not the right people. We're not the right country to do it. The experienced countries that know how to build these things, you don't do routine maintenance so early in the life of a plant like that. And the fact that we are now producing gas is a huge challenge, because if Etuabo isn't working, the gas is what? It's kept. Nothing can be done with it.
It's actually fled. It's fled.
You see?
Because you can't store, it's fled.
Well, it can be stored, but it's an expensive form of storing. And so with Sankofa coming up, with others coming up, what are we doing to make sure that when the gas starts flowing in its quantities, Etuabo will be able to handle it?
Let me take a break here. Let me remind you, those at home who would want to join the conversation, why not? It's 0560 800 000, 0560 800 000. Send in your comments. I mean, once upon a time, we just wanted the lights on. We didn't care the cost, but now the light is on. Should we just keep quiet, or should we sit back and say, look, we need to find a cheaper source of energy for industries? Not necessarily domestics, but for industries. Don't move. Well, thank you very much for staying, and we're discussing prudent measures of, saving energy at home. Turn off the freezer at night, turn on the fridge at night, turn on the perimeter lights until you're going to bed before you leave it on, and don't leave the fan on, don't leave the night. I mean, just be prudent, but that's at home. But if you are, running a mill, you don't turn the mill off. If you have to do chocolates and the chocolate is melted and it's coming down, what do you do? Those who are running breweries and have to brew stuff for it. I hear with the breweries, I said when they start production, they just turn the plants on because they just can't take a risk of when it will go off on end. And there's one big drinks company I know that's somewhere around the Sphinx, and apparently the fuel bill was so high that they had to go and connect to Tema so that when the sort of Accra goes off, they can switch to the Tema light. So they have to literally go and connect to a different area because their bill was just, you know.
But Nana, if there is no improvement in the hydro system, this is going to be the predominant way of firing our plants.
See, I was going to ask something. Is there any way they could, but then how? That, you know, domestic would pay more. You know, in other countries, domestic pays more than commercial. But now, where else are they going to?
I think
how much more are they going to take?
I think what they should do is do a bit more intelligent way of billing. Let's say during the day, okay, if you are home and your lights are on and you are using, so instead of us making consumption peak after 6 o'clock, make in terms of peak in billing during the day. So for domestic, during the day is peak. So if you are leaving the house and you leave things on, and or somebody's at home leaving air conditions on, you are paying more during the day. When in the evening, when everybody comes home and it's peak in terms of consumption, then it will be a bit cheaper in terms of how much we pay for electricity. That way, it balances out in terms of people who are mostly stay at home and abuse electricity during the day. That sort of intelligent way of billing might be introduced to basically reduce the burden a bit in towards the way it is now. Industry, I think government should find a way of basically giving them some incentives.
Are we being petty, Kwame?
No,
because I mean, once upon a time, we also can give us light, give us light. Now they're giving us light, and here we are saying that, oh, Charlie, as for this rate, industries might die. I mean, is it being petty?
No, we're not.
Electricity is getting expensive all around the world.
Yeah.
It's not only Ghana. It's getting expensive. But for me, this is where Africa should now sit and actually conceptualize how we can work towards electricity production in all countries. I keep saying the Congo Basin, the waters in the Congo Basin can light up the whole of Africa. What are we doing about it? How are we channeling our resources to benefit the whole of Africa? Because today, Algeria and Morocco have huge solar farms, and they are piping it into Europe. They're piping it into Europe. The same way Russia is piping gas into Europe. Why can't we do it in Africa? This situation shouldn't be a Ghana situation or a Nigeria situation or a Liberia situation or a Zimbabwe situation. It should be an Africa situation where African governments sit and say, we need to do something about our power resources. We need to do something about it because we are strewn with rivers everywhere in Africa. What are we doing about it? How are we managing it properly? This thing about, okay, let's do some, it won't work for energy because, look, as you said, the situation isn't domestic because whatever you do, domestic, you'd have to pay. In your house, you'd want light. So even if it goes to 1,000 cedis, you'd have to pay. What about industry? If people do not have the wherewithal, the purchasing power to work and earn money, how will they pay? So the key is in industry. It's unfortunate, very, very unfortunate, that we don't have the massive factories we had in the First Republic. Because if all those factories were working today, do you know the kind of impact Dumsor would have on our economy? Right now, with oil prices as it is today, we can't rely on revenue from oil today because of the oil prices. What is gold? What is cocoa? So definitely, as the president said, we need to rely on ourselves. But if the jobs aren't there, how can you tax the people? It has a huge, cyclical effect with regards to how we handle this energy problem. Because it goes into every sector. And if you're not careful, we can grind to a halt.
Another thing which the president said with the meet the president. Meet the president was that a Mary deal has gone to the Price Waterhouse to
review and advise. Basically, what he was trying to say is that he's trying to get the Price Waterhouse, which are transaction advisors, to look at the processes that Mary deal went through and advise whether something untoward happened, and if it did, what's the lessons for the future. To me, what is Pricewaterhouse going to tell you? You see, the president said a lot of things that, for a long time, I had really wondered. So sometimes you don't know a person, okay? So you try to figure him out. But listening to the president yesterday, I managed to figure him out a little bit. One, he speaks very well. He's well informed. I mean, much to what a lot of people think, he's very well informed. Secondly, there's a lot of the things that you realize that his conviction as the person and as the policy that goes out are in contrast. Because he believes that, there's one thing he said he believes that government should be run like family, where if in a family you can't afford something, you don't go out. If you earn 200, you spend 200 in the family, you don't spend 400. So I believe that as his conviction is that a government should be run as a family. He said that, but his government is not running as such. So that tells me something different, that look, the man says that government should be run, that he believes that, and from the way he explained it, he believes it. Why is it that if you believe that as president, your government is not running as such? Because since NDC has been in power, we've not been able to bring down the deficit. And he now went on to say that to bring down the deficit, they had to go to IMF to get credibility for the deficit. I didn't get that part. Because if you really genuinely want to bring down your deficit, in America today, every budget that you read should go towards reducing the deficit. In Ghana, in the last 5 years, which budget has gone to reduce deficits? The minister, after enumerating the things that GDP this, GDP that, then he will now do a long list of roads that we are supposed to do. And I ask myself, do we have money for all these things? We don't. We have borrowed well ahead of our time with the view that we had oil, and the oil will be able to pay for some of these things. Now look at where the oil have left us. All these euro bonds that we went for, the 1 billion euro bonds, were all with the thought that the crude oil that at $100 or $8 will be able to pay for some of these things. You understand? So to me, if he feels that the Ameri deal, in his thoughts, there was something wrong, I don't really know what Pricewaterhouse will come and tell him that we all don't know. We all know that, yes, we couldn't have bought it from GE at 220.
I think his reason was that, listen, I didn't have the money, I had to do high purchase, and if I do high purchase, I pay double.
Right.
He used the family car, Corolla is 20,000. By the time I finish, it's 40,000.
I believe that every leader should stamp his authority. Every leader should stamp his authority. If you feel you need to run a government like a family, you stamp that authority so that the people you've chosen to help you get to your vision understand it. For me, it looks as if the president has a conviction, but that conviction is not being worked out by the people around him, the people he has chosen. Because for me, it was quite an embarrassment for him to say that he's asked Pricewaterhouse to look into the Ameri deal. He was the one who started the Ameri deal. He was the one who went and started the negotiations of the Ameri deal. And so he should know. If it so happens that those around you are not doing what you're supposed to do, fire them. Do what you have to do, because in the end, it's John Mahama's name they are going to talk about. It's not the minister. Comrade Donko is no more there. It's you, the president, who is going to face the people.
Yeah, I think the Ameri deal, one of the issues was the issue about the middleman and that 160 million. So yes, you high purchase, but I think that's where. So I don't know what, like you're saying.
But GE were asking. They went to this. We're in Ghana. Why didn't the Ghana government come straight to us to ask us for this thing? Why do they have to go through two middlemen? Why?
But then the issue is that Madcat, the contract between Ghana government was between Ghana government and Ameri. But the company in Ghana doing the work is Madcat. Okay? So the question now is that, where does Madcat come into the question? Madcat are the guys who, after Ameri took the deal from the Ghana government, Ameri now went and sold the deal to Madcat. So Madcat is the one, the company that is patient enough to sit here and grind the monthly payments and the yearly payments to retrieve their 510. Ameri basically took the balance. And I'm sure that balance, you ask yourself, how did they get the balance? I'm sure it was Madcat that had paid them that money, because Madcat had money sitting there. Madcat had sold some plants in Europe and they had money and were looking for something to do. So Ameri really, though the government will argue that, well, no money has effectively exchanged hands. But that's not the issue. The issue is that within a certain period of time, the money would have exchanged hands, because Madcat is doing the deal. They've said they're doing the deal for like 360 or 310 or whatever. And the deal actually is 510. So I think Madcat would have discounted it and given Ameri whatever they're giving them. I don't think Ameri would have gotten 160 because it's an unearned premium which will be given to Madcat in 4 or 5 years. So maybe if it's 160, they probably discounted it and give them 80 million to just walk away. And they take the deal and Madcat sits here. So I don't really know which part of the transaction that the president has to be advised on by Pricewater, because we all know, and he seems to understand it, because for him to go further and explain, like you said, when you go and you don't have the money, you do work and pay and all those things, he understands it perfectly. So what is Pricewater now going to add to what he knows?
Because I think he's saying that there were more deals coming in.
Yes.
And so to stop all this hoo-ha, let them look into all the deals coming in to, I think, give him advice if value for money is there or not.
Well, my brother, see, we don't have money. You see, I think the government of Ghana and anybody, be it NDC, MPP, CPP, should really put a stop on all these. Let's do these roads, let's do this, because we don't have the money. Let's go ground ourselves and say, look, how much can road fund give us a year with all the tolls that we've put across? Now you're going to Kumasi, you pay like 4 tolls. You're going to Tema, you pay toll, and the Tema motorway is deteriorating and it's being bastardized. And when Kwame Nkrumah builds something with concrete, somebody goes and put asphalt there. I don't know what's wrong with that person, you know.
And nobody says anything about it.
Exactly. You understand? It's concrete. How much does it cost to pour concrete on the road? And you go and put asphalt on the concrete road. Let's that one for another time. My point is, we should find out what road fund can give us. We should find out where all these tolls and tolls can give us, because road fund is taxed from the petroleum fund, and then the tolls also go to add to road fund. If it gives us 1 billion a year, what roads can 1 billion a year can we build? Yeah. Let's build that.
Yes.
We should really stop borrowing and putting debt on ourselves.
It's not
Let me
sustainable.
give an example.
It's not sustainable.
The $320-something million that they recently raised on the local market, the bond, okay, the yield is 24% over 3 years. That is 3 years. You're going to pay over $72 million on a loan of $323 million. If the government wants $323 million, I can show them one place they could get $323 million. Tema Oil Refinery.
Yes.
List it.
Yes.
Don't sell it.
Yes.
List it. List it. Do you know how much it's worth? Tema Oil Refinery is clearly worth close to $1 billion if you list it. Because if it's evaluated, it's about 600 million, because it's about 60,000 barrels a day per capacity. So it's about 1,000 a barrel. So it's about 600 million on the capacity alone. Then you have all the auxiliaries, the tank farms and everything it has. So you are close to about $1 billion. You list it on the Ghana Stock Exchange. Let the government take 40% of that money to do whatever it wants. That is $400 million that you can get from an entity that is being rotten.
Would you list PRA as well?
You see,
Yes,
you see,
list all of them.
you see-
Gapoha, list it.
You see, the other thing to it is that
List them.
at this point where we have lower oil prices, this is the time we should look at expanding Tema Oil Refinery. Why do I say that? We produce oil, don't we? Now that oil prices are low, are we going to get the revenues that we expect? No. But we are going to use hard-earned dollars to import refined petroleum products into the country. If we expand toll today, can't we use a percentage of our oil to refine petrol for our own people? How much will it cost?
Is it not derelict?
It's not a relic.
Why is it derelict?
Why is it a relic?
Toll?
Why is it a relic?
See, look, there's a problem at all. Let me tell you what the problem is. Yes, it's established that because the losses, they found out that if you put crude
it's a management
through it,
problem.
there's a bit of a technical problem also. If you put crude through it, there's losses. The refinery gives you losses because the
every
processes
refinery has a certain
that
percentage.
Yes, but Tor, I think, is going to a point where it's higher. So that's why they keep making losses at Tor. And they've identified that some catalyst or something need to be changed. But it doesn't take 6 months, 1 year, 2 years.
And that's why the toll levy is still there.
You see, they should fix that and let Tor work.
Yeah.
And another thing that I heard, to me, is absurd. They want to make Tor a towing plant.
Yes, but
if somebody now has crude oil, they will charge them a premium to come and bring it and refine. How many people do you know are walking around with a bag of crude oil to refine? Crude oil is not something that you find walking around to say, oh, come here, I have crude oil.
Come people from Mali, I mean,
My brother,
oil
they don't have
Let's
it.
expand the refinery.
OPEC has a law. You can only export crude when it has a destination. Because to stop thieving.
Yes.
Okay, so you can't go to Nigeria and ask them to ship.
No, they use their own vessels. If you go to Nigeria today and you want to buy crude, they will use their own vessel to deliver it to you.
And it has to have a destination.
It has to have a destination.
So
and they'll make sure it gets there.
A towing plant, who's
going to bring?
How many people? You see, they should get out of this thing because all these crude oil that came into the system were all stolen crude oil from all these militants in the Niger Delta. So it's not a sustainable platform. We have a plant, refinery, refine it. If Tor was working today, we'd be paying about 8 Ghana cedis a gallon.
Yes.
And should we look at expanding it?
Yes, that is what we should be doing.
Samson SK of South Korea has been trying to get into Tamale Refinery from day one.
Yes,
and nobody's allowing them. And they come in and I meet them.
Right through the Kufuor era till today.
They've been trying to get in. My brother.
And apart from that, other West African countries have found oil. Refining, they would bring it to us to refine for them. Would we not get more money from that? Look, let's sit down and think. For this country, let's build a nation. That's what I keep saying.
Because we can't.
Are we simplifying it, or is it a reality?
No, it's a reality. My brother, look, we're not simplifying. The problem of us over borrowing is a reality because we are faced with it. Okay, we are doing projects we can't afford, and the interest. Imagine since we got debt forgiveness in 2001, Nana, how many interest do you think we paid in the last 14 years as a country? Billions of dollars in interest.
In interest alone.
If we had just kept to monies and projects that we have, won't that interest have gone to do other projects? Why are we in a rush to point to things we have done? Nkrumah did it because he had the purse. He had the money, so he did what he did. We are in a race to be able to point to. We are in a race to be able to do a green book because MPP did a green book, NDC has to do a green book, CBP will do a yellow book. I don't understand the process. We need money. If government want to go to, if government want to spend, by all means spend. Look, during the MPP time, they did something which was very sensible. Well, Ghana Oil is still owned by the government, but it's listed. They listed it and took 40% of the money and used it for whatever they want to use it for. SIC is still owned by the government. It's listed. They took 40% and used whatever they want to do it from the stock exchange and do whatever. And these two entities are still owned by the government, but it's listed. As I speak to you now, we have Gapoha. What is government doing 100% of Gapoha?
And they're expanding it.
We have Tor. What is government doing 100% of Tor? We have VRE. With all the infrastructure VRE has, what are we doing 100% of VRE? This is time when financial management or financial engineering, 2016, somebody should stop taxing us and think.
I'm going to take a break and don't move. It's getting interesting. Well, thank you very much for staying. Been a very interesting, educative conversation, I may say. Let me catch up some of your messages. I think the real question is, should the power minister be sacked? Have been sacked. You cannot convince me that anything significant or extraordinary has been done since he was sacked 2 weeks ago, and now for some other people, Gridco boss and all, to come and be holding the press conference as if it was by their effort that the power issue is now resolved. I suspect people want to appear good in the eyes of the president for possible nomination to occupy the post. The power minister was undermined. He was the one who really solved the problem and deserves credit instead of the media backlash. The cost of power now is, I didn't add your name. This one says, the cost of power now is outrageous. We beg the president to make the use of solar energy, though it comes with an initial cost. It's life-sustaining. It's life-sustaining and worth affordable for the long term. It's only in Ghana that abundance is expensive. This one says, good evening, sir. The energy experts are Ghanaian. What prevents them from helping to solve the problem than talking? Ghana has expert talkers, but with less action. We are all in it, says. How come I haven't got any names on this messages?
You know we are not helping.
Ghanaians can never be serious with the power situation. We let go this scorched sunlight freely while we can make about 300 megawatts from it. Yeah. This is from Organic in Silver. 300 megawatts, we can make much more than that. If we want light, does that mean we have to pay that much? But seriously speaking, how can a nation power machine to get power? This can never be reliable. This is Emma Mbuama. I didn't get your message very well. The Load Management Committee betrayed the former energy minister because since he declared it's over, he has the lights gone off till now? Have you got lights in your area? That's the question. What is the use of the power? What's the use of the power the ordinary Ghanaian can afford? Something from Sunyani. Right, your message is a bit clear so that I can read it properly. But back to the studio. With regards to, going back to industry, is there anything or they're doomed?
Oh, like I suggested, I think the trade minister with the presidency should hold a meeting with AGI and identify these companies that are having the strenuous effect on their budgets in terms of the new review of electricity. Now that the power is on, find a way to incentivize them to stay open. If not, the industries will just shut down and leave. I know people will say that, oh, in other African countries or West African countries, Ghana has the cheapest in terms of power, because if you go to maybe Togo or Ivory Coast, it's more expensive. But then what you understand is that in terms of per capita income and the cost of goods.
But does Togo produce anything?
Well, they don't, but then they are expensive because they're expensive. But then it's safer. The safer has a much bigger value than the city. So if a safer country produces something, the safer country, they are paid more, and they can affordability is much higher. So they have the safer backbone. So yes, they can afford to pay more. But in Ghana, where the city and the problems that we've had with high taxations and all these things, industry should be kept so that people will get jobs. The unemployment situation in Ghana, if we start talking about it now, we'll never finish. So the government really needs to look at what ways to incentivize.
With the mega companies, and I'm talking the big boys, Casapreco, the big giants, the Steelers. Should there be some exemption or some? See, I don't know. With regards to energy to produce, maybe if you employ 1,000 people and more, something.
I think in the short term it's going to be difficult. However, what I think we should do, look, if we really, because there is information that says that in the next 15 to 20 years, solar is going to be the primary source of power. And if that is going to be the case, we don't buy sun, do we? And so if we can start that process now, so that when all these other plants we've got are working to full capacity, we can shelve that to industry.
Briefly, with solar, should every house have a panel or should the area have a panel?
No, there should be, every area should have a solar grid. So this area, for instance,
is what they call embedded generation.
Yes, it should have a solar. So this area would have a solar grid somewhere, solar power station nearby.
Shouldn't they just tell, look,
it's all part and parcel of it.
Just stick something on your roof.
But
it would not
be able to power
a lot of
things. So you want a concentration of power that can now do the job. So all the different areas we have in Accra should be run on solar. The sun is free. Look, in the UK today, I keep saying this, there are meters parking meters are all solar. What sun do you have there?
You have snow on half of it, a little panel showing, and they're still working.
Exactly. We have sun 24 hours a day. Today, my air conditioner in my car broke down. I was sweating like nobody else's business. Why? Because of heat.
But I think something I could add, in this country, there are people called bulk customers. Like Legon is a bulk customer,
Yes.
Gasem is a bulk customer. Most of the huge the mines are bulk customers. I think these Casapreco and these companies that think that they are really consuming a lot of electricity,
together.
they should really find out from the ministries how they can become bulk customers. That way they can really negotiate much lower rates because of their high usage. So I think the government should also incentivize, educate some of these companies how to go through the process of becoming bulk customers. That can go to reduce the electricity bill.
Industries must be safe.
Yes.
Industries must be safe.
Otherwise, there will be nothing to tax the people.
Well, there will be no jobs.
No jobs.
Well, on Thursday, that's my opinion, Joy 99.7 FM. Mental slavery, mental poverty, who will cure us? It's a dangerous combination to suffer as a people. And we need a cure, but who will cure us? So tune in on Thursday between 2 and 3 on Joy 99.7 FM and listen to That's My Opinion. But I want to say thank you very much to Kojo Poku and thank you very much to Kwame Jantua for the insightful conversation and education. Tomorrow we'll be back to do this all over again. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.